following the sessions of CyCoffee, we've had some really interesting feedback, lots of questions. So I think in this session we really want to discuss some of that feedback and some of the questions we've had over the CyCoffee series.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the topics that came up was simplifying security, and it sounds quite utopian, quite broad. How do we sort of narrow that down? And I guess to sort of answer that, what we're talking about in our context is security operations, the bit of security that's about detecting stuff and responding to it in ways that sort of reduce our organisational risk. That's the sort of scope of what we're talking about. And I guess the question that then comes out of that is, well, if we're trying to solve a problem here by simplifying it, can we wind that back a little bit and say, why has it become so complex in the first place?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's really interesting. And my take on this is, I think first of all, you've got to look at the evolution of technology. You know, we all started out, you know, when we think back 20 years ago, it was so much easier in IT. We had this nice security perimeter. We'd put all of our security on the edge, and back then we didn't really need that much security, and then maybe we'd have some antivirus at the endpoint. But as technologies evolved, and we saw virtualization, and then we saw everybody now is adopting into cloud. With that, we've had to adopt security into each of these different environments as well. And I think because of that, it's obviously added complexity. So there's hundreds of vendors out there, and each of these vendors have over the years have developed new technology to address each of these new technology environments, to address the different types of threats. So with every evolution of technology, I think we're seeing an evolution of cybersecurity threats, and I think all of this combined together has added to this complexity of security.
Yeah, absolutely. It's partly that it's the visibility that we need. We need to keep deploying extra products to maintain that visibility of everything. But there's also a complexity issue when it comes to just knowing what's bad in an environment, the detection logic behind it, and then the processes to be able to respond to it and do something about it. And even just manning the whole thing and putting the people and process behind it. Just complex to recruit and retain people in that way as well. Definitely.
I think what it's definitely highlighted is that technology doesn't solve everything, right? It's not just about technology, and as Jan just rightly said, we need to be thinking more around the people and the process element as well. Without that, 100% we've got more complex environments and more complex technology to work with. And it only just gets easier for the cyber criminals, right? Their playing field just gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah, because it's left organisations with is sort of disjointed security that's very difficult to weave together, very difficult to get a single picture of what's going on, and very difficult to get good security outcomes out of that.
Definitely.
So from there, I guess the question is, how does XDR help to solve that problem?
Yeah, well, I think. Again, you know, as in Vendorland, we love a good buzzword, right? And XDR, I believe it was a term coined by Gartner, right, earlier this year. And for those of you that don't know, it stands for Extended Detection and Response. But essentially what it's trying to do, it's trying to, first of all, you mentioned it before, the visibility issue. I think the first thing XDR does, it gives you better visibility, more combined visibility, more correlation of your environment, because when we talk back to the first question there, it's all of these environments and all of these complex technologies that we've got, it's added more complexity. So XDR really tries to combine a lot of these technologies and feed all of the telemetry sources into a single, or what it should do is feed them into a single XDR platform.
Yeah, no, that's right. So we also end up with not just complexity, but we need to have integrations to sort of remediate this problem where everything's disjointed. So we're having to integrate our telemetry sources so we get the full picture. We're then having to integrate with other things in our environment so that we can take action and do stuff about things. And all these integrations, they start to sort of rise exponentially the more products we've got in the environment, and they become a problem. So one of the benefits of XDR is that it's a single platform, it's pre-integrated, all of the inputs are already there, all of the outputs that we need to take actions, they're sort of built into the platform as far as possible.
Yeah, and obviously let's not forget, it's not all about the telemetry you can collect and detecting the threats, it's about that kind of the automation XDR can bring and the You know, when we talk about IT and underskilled IT that don't have the luxury of security teams, what XDR really does do is help address that by offering a combination of technology and services as well.
That's an important point. The service element is really important, because even if the technology is simpler, you've still got to find people to keep eyes on it and monitor and escalate and do those sorts of jobs. So having a managed element to it as well is sort of a key part of XDR, I think.
Definitely.
So thanks for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed the series. It's great to get feedback like this, and if you've got any other feedback or questions or things that you'd like us to discuss, then please let us know.